Good morning, everyone. I think we are live. It seems like we are live. I'm here at Naka-Meguro station, and today I will take you on a long walk visiting some pretty major areas in Tokyo. Oh wow, Yari, I'm surprised that you are up all this early. Oh, hi Laura, great to see you as always. So yeah, Naka-Meguro station, let's go. Maybe even Harajuku and Shinjuku if we have time. I have about 2 hours today, so the weather's a bit flaky. It looks like it could start raining. Are we still buffering? Should be okay now, right? It was just a quick little glitch, wasn't it? Yeah, usually when you get this buffering, it actually usually is problematic for a few seconds, but it can take some time for YouTube to realize that the stream is back. So one thing you can do is to try to reload the page. But so yeah, that's Naka-Meguro station over there. And hey Super Comet, great to see you here. My most generous Patreon supporter. The only one who subscribes to the monthly print package. Appreciate it. So yeah, I don't know if you heard what I said, but sometimes when there's this buffering issue, like it usually just stops for like a second or two on my end, but it can take like minutes for YouTube to realize that the stream is back. So I recommend that whenever it happens, try just reloading the page, or if you're watching on a phone, just like close the stream and open it again, and it should probably come back much quicker. It can be a bit glitchy at the station maybe, but usually it's pretty smooth. So from here on I will only be outdoors, so shouldn't be any other issues with the stream. But yeah, I don't know if I heard what I said with regards to the plan today, but I'm going to start here, obviously, walk around Naka-Meguro a little bit, and then head through a little part of Daikanyama, then up over to Ebisu, and depending on the time, I'll probably from there head towards Shibuya and maybe even Harajuku. So I think I'll do about an hour and a half to 2 hours today. Oh, thank you. 涼しくなりましたね. So yeah, it's a little bit cooler today. So oh, thank you, Jesse. It's very generous. Appreciate it. So today it's actually, for the first time this summer, it was like I was considering wearing long pants instead of shorts. It's I don't know if you can see here, so much reflections, but no, it's impossible to focus on the screen, right? It's 24 degrees anyway, and a bit gray and gloomy, might rain, 84% humidity. Yeah, there's many good coffee shops around here. Which one are you thinking about? I'm a big coffee fan. It's not chilly, it's 24 degrees and it will rise to 28 in an hour or two. So yeah, it's quite comfortable. Did we break the record last night? I think we did, yes, I think so. It's a little bit weird because YouTube always takes some time for the kind of to organize the statistics. Oh, by the way, this place has amazing cheesecake. If you're into cheesecake, I highly recommend you check out this place. Let's see, I think we should head this way. So yeah, it always takes like another day before I get the financial report, but I do think we did break the super chat record yesterday. I will not head all the way to Deluxe Starbucks today. This is Naka-Meguro. Look it up on Google Maps. This is Meguro River, and super famous spot for cherry blossom viewing. Like, these are all cherry blossom trees, so it's really, really beautiful around here during the cherry blossom season. Third wave coffee. I'm not sure if I know what that means, but I generally prefer small local coffee shops rather than big chains like Starbucks. Oh, thank you, Yulson. Wow, that's probably my most generous super chat to date. Appreciate it. カフェが多いですね。そうですね。この辺多いですね。I think let's head this way. So yeah, or do you want me to walk a little bit more along the river? I feel that I've already walked it so many times in my streams, but if you want, I can show you around here a little bit more. But basically I need to turn right at some point and head this direction for Daikanyama. Try sidewalk stand if you have time. Okay, I'll look it up. Probably not. No need for coffee right now. I just had a big cup with my breakfast just an hour ago. What are those red boxes? What red boxes? These ones? I think they're fire extinguishers. I never really thought about it, but there's actually a lot of them around here, yeah. Some of them are probably post boxes because they look kind of similar. But this is a fire extinguisher. Was your wife excited about Super Chat like that? I don't know, not so much. I don't think she cares. I mean, it's nice. Of course, she likes that my YouTube project is going well, and of course, if the income I make from YouTube increases, that means that I can, we can do more like travel videos from other parts of Japan as well, maybe travel a bit together, and once this whole crisis is over, maybe we can go to Europe and shoot videos from there as well. So I mean, it's exciting that the channel is growing, but at the same time, I mean, I do after all have other work, which is my main source of income. So YouTube is more like a nice little bonus. But of course, ideally, if I could do this freely and travel wherever I want and shoot videos and make a living out of that for me and my family, that would be something of a dream life, I guess. I actually have two Okinawa videos on my channel. One from Naha, which is the capital of Okinawa, and I also have a video from a beach on an island called Tokashiki. So yeah, there's already Okinawa videos, but it would be fun to do some live streams from there, absolutely. When I lived in Japan, I miss seeing grass. There isn't much in Japan in parks. Yeah, I mean, not grass specifically, but I do miss kind of access to real nature, I guess. I mean, there's plenty of good parks here. Ah, so here's the sidewalk stand, eh? Nice. I'll definitely check this place out sometime. It looks very nice. So yeah, I mean, I do miss this access to proper nature, like being able to take a walk in a forest, you know, easily, like I can do in Sweden. But yeah, there's plenty of parks, and I do travel quite a lot usually when there's not a pandemic going on. So I do get to see a lot of the Japanese countryside and beautiful nature. So. Oh, already 300 people. Oh, thank you, Dave. Very nice of you. There's a lot of interesting shops actually on the back streets around here as well. I must admit that I'm not too familiar with it because I don't come here super often. But 今外国人でした。どういうことですか? The vending machines still serve Apple QOO. Yeah, I think so. I think they do. I think I see that drink every now and then. Oh, cool old house here. So many fancy houses around here. So this is also very upscale residential neighborhood, as I guess you can see. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach is not good. Well, I just had a big breakfast like I do every morning, so I think I had breakfast less than an hour ago. So I'm not really on an empty stomach, but yeah, I try to kind of limit my coffee intake these days. Usually always have a cup for breakfast, and maybe one after lunch, but that's usually it. Yasashii desu ne. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you. I'm glad that you liked the conversation. Really? Is that apple juice that good? Such a kind of cheap, mass-produced product, but okay, I'll try it. I don't think I've ever had. I always think you're going to walk into a pole. Finger crossed that won't happen. I am trying to be mindful of my surroundings. Coffee shop hopping would also be fun to watch. I agree. I would actually enjoy doing that, but like I said so many times before, that shooting in shops is a little bit tricky. Basically, I need to get permission beforehand. So now we're actually at the Daikanyama tea site over there. So you see how close Naka-Meguro and Daikanyama are? Super close. And then not too far this way we have Shibuya. The street looks like villages in Brazil, no sidewalk. Yeah, there's a lot of streets without sidewalk in Tokyo. That's one of the things that I don't like. I mean, the most main streets like this one, they have sidewalks, but in the residential areas it's very common that the streets are super narrow and there's no sidewalk. Art Village. Yes, Danish embassy is near here. It is. So especially now, since I have a kid, I'm a little bit concerned about, you know, all those narrow streets. It does often feel that accidents are kind of likely. So let's do a quick walk around Tsutaya. So this is a really nice bookstore, and these kind of bookshops in Japan are almost like libraries in the West. You're allowed to, you know, sit down and actually read the books. You don't need to buy them. So in that sense, it's very generous. So a lot of people come here. It's already, I mean, it's still quite early. I think they just opened. Okay, they opened at 9, so they open quite early. But yeah, at this time it's usually not so many people around, but here it's already, well, I wouldn't say crowded, but quite a few people inside. Oh, thank you, Gorviv. Thank you very much. People are very generous today. You were very generous yesterday as well. I really appreciate that. So yeah, it's very nice around here. They have lots of outdoor seats, which is kind of rare in Tokyo. So that's something I already that I always enjoy. Shimokitazawa. Yeah, I did Shimokitazawa like 3 days ago. Face reveal. Oh, did I? Oh well. Shoganai, as we say here in Japan. Is this where the electric Honda car is? Yes, I think. Oh, maybe it's gone. It was here last time I came. I was actually in here, but now they're doing some construction work, so now it's gonna be some Hyundai exhibition, it seems. But yeah, it used to be some electric Hyundai car here. So let me just do a quick map check, because I am, like I said, I'm not super familiar with this area and I often get a little bit lost. But it looks like I am pretty much on the route I want to be on. Yes. Yes, okay. We're good. So next waypoint is Ebisu. Are you excited for the coming winter season? Winter in Japan is not something I'm particularly excited about. Autumn is nice. Oh, look at this little... Is it a Space Invader? Cute. Yeah, winter is not something that really excites me. I mean, winters here are okay. They're much milder than back home, obviously. この通りの名前を教えてください。この通りの名前がわかりませんね。名前あるかどうかわかりません。ちょっと地図に調べますね。名前なさそうですね。So one of my Japanese viewers is asking about the name of this street, but I don't think it has a name. Most streets in Japan doesn't have a name. I'm in Daikanyama, so this crossing here is Daikanyama Eki Iriguchi, so the entrance to Daikanyama station, literally. That's what it says on the sign over there. So I think, let's see. I should probably head this way. Yeah, they don't have any names. It's kind of weird, right? But usually the addresses in Japan, it's like each block has a number, and then each building in that block has another number. So that's how you navigate. But it's really difficult because those numbers are not like in any particular order, or like it's ordered by the time of when the buildings were built. So number 12 can be next to number 3, and then there's number 28 next to that. So without Google Maps, it is not easy to get around. So this is Sarugakucho, number 23. That's the number of this block. And then each building here has another number to kind of specify. Not right here, but yeah. So if I go down straight here, I will get to Daikanyama station. But now I will take this route instead. Do the roads have names in rural parts of Japan? No. Generally not. Maybe like one main road in the city can have a name. And it's usually like something like Temple Street or like Omotesando, which is like the traditional, like it means basically the road that leads to the front entrance to a shrine, or something like that. So it's yeah, it's a pretty different system that compared to what we're used to in the West. I sometimes wish that Japan could have such a simple writing system like Korean. That would make learning Japanese so much easier. Like Korean is probably my favorite writing system. It's so super easy to learn. It's very, very logical, and it looks really cool. You only have to learn, what is it, like 20 something characters. So it's super easy, and like if I would design a writing system, I would probably go the Korean route. But no, instead in Japan it's just so complicated. It takes forever. I actually learned Hangul first time I went to Korea. I went there by boat. I took an overnight ferry from Osaka. I think this was a long time ago, back in 2008, and it was such a fun experience. Like everybody on that boat, it was basically only Korean. Let's head down this cute little road. Korean old couples. Singing public karaoke. That was like the main entertainment. It was amazing. But anyway, I did meet one young-ish guy about my age. I was 25 at that time, and he was like, I think, Korean British, and yeah, he taught me how to read Hangul like in a few hours. Like it's super easy to learn, and now I'm kind of forgetting it because I never use it, but super easy. Kanji, ne? I mean, I think kanji is very fascinating and interesting, and when I did learn Japanese, I really enjoyed studying it, but it does take so much time, and I can't help but imagine the benefits to the Japanese society if they just scrapped kanji and spent all that time learning English instead. Like imagine how much better the future for Japanese kids would be if they did that. But yeah, probably never gonna happen, so just live with it. And now that I do know kanji somewhat, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's a interesting thing to actually know and be able to read. But yeah. I found one funny fact that a lot of Westerners in Japan have Korean friends than Japanese friends there. I doubt that that's a fact, but maybe some people do. I mean, when I first came here and went to language school, I didn't know much Japanese, so I couldn't really communicate with Japanese people, but most of the Koreans I met in language school, they could all speak really good English. Yeah, I think in the beginning, when you're new to Japan, maybe it's easier to meet Korean people, but it also depends on where you live. Now, this street is quite fascinating. It looks like it could be somewhere in Europe. I wonder if these are apartments. Okay, I need to check the map again, just to make sure that I'm heading the right way. Yeah, I think I... so, no... Not really, I should go this direction. Looks like it could be New Orleans. Ah, I guess so, yeah. Never been there, but I kind of get the idea. There are so many links on how to learn Japanese. Sorry, I don't know, because it's been so long since I studied, so I have no idea what's around these days. But back when I learned, I used besides going to a language school, I also used Rosetta Stone to learn my first couple of sentences in Japanese, and I also used listened to a podcast called Japanese Pod 101. I think they're still around. Not sure if they're actually any good or if I would recommend them, but I mean, they were entertaining and it was fun to listen to. But yeah. Oh, right. Here's a pretty nice brewery place. I've been here. But I've only been here at night. This area is very nice. There's some cool shops in here as well. Rosetta Stone. Yeah, I mean, it's not really useful. I mean, it was fun because I learned so many stupid words and sentences that my first Japanese friends thought were really hilarious. Like that I could, that I knew how to say, like that it's, it's a beautiful day in the tropical rainforest. But how often do you need like a sentence like that? So yeah. It's a cute little building. The streets here are really maze-like to me, so I do have to. And on top of that, the GPS in my secondary phone is completely out of whack, so I don't really trust it. But I think if I walk straight this way, I should be heading towards... Oh yes, that's Ebisu over there. Excellent. So Ebisu also has like the biggest photography museum in Tokyo, the Tokyo Metropolitan Photography Museum. I don't remember the name. I think they changed name recently and now they call it TOP. But I don't remember what it stands for. But anyway, it's a really cool place. Definitely worth a visit if you are into photography. What's for lunch today? I think after this stream I will head back home and just buy some Thai takeout for me and my wife. We have a Thai restaurant close to our house. So a bit busy day today actually. After this stream I need to hurry home because she has an appointment and I need to be at home to take care of our little girl, and then I also have a bit of desk work to take care of, like book a few flights for the upcoming trips that I'm doing later this month. Are we stopping beer? No, I don't think morning beer is a little bit. That's kind of. I would feel that then I'm on a slippery slope on my way to becoming a full-blown alcoholic. So I prefer to not do beer when I'm on doing morning streams. Where will you be going? So now I'm heading towards Ebisu, and from Ebisu I think I will head towards Shibuya direction, and possibly even Harajuku, and possibly even Shinjuku. We'll see. Black Coast Burger. Don't know. I don't come to Ebisu very often either, but I know that there's a lot of good restaurants. It's a very popular area for, especially for Westerners, to hang out. Will you stream in Kyoto this autumn? Not sure. Not sure if I can do that. I don't know if I will be able to go to Kyoto this autumn. Do you eat out more than you cook? Yes, we do. We do. Neither me or my wife are that fond of cooking, and especially now with the baby, we tend to be quite busy. So it's very easy to just buy takeout. Do you get lost in Shinjuku station? No, I don't. Actually, Shinjuku was... it's green over here, okay. Shinjuku was like the first major neighborhood that I lived nearby, so I quickly learned how to navigate that station. I much more often get lost at Ikebukuro station, actually. Because I rarely go to Ikebukuro, so I find that area, that station, much more difficult to navigate than Shinjuku. Are you going to Sumidagawa Fireworks Festival? I guess that will be cancelled this year. But if not, I'll consider it. I don't want to go to places where there's lots of people right now, for obvious reasons. Collab with Ryan? Yeah, that would be fun. His moderator suggested that yesterday when I was joining the chat on his channel, so I told them to reach out to me and set something up if they want to. Could be fun. Have the big renovations in Yokohama station finished? Not sure, because Yokohama is also an area I don't go very often. But last time I was there was probably like 2-3 months ago, and I remember that there was plenty of construction around the station back then. So maybe not. What's at Ikebukuro that interests you? Not much actually. That's why I rarely go there. Sunshine City? Nah. No, I rarely have any reasons to go to Ikebukuro. I don't know. I think if I would do a collab with Rion, I think what could be interesting would to just like sit down somewhere and do some kind of Q&A type of video, and maybe discuss certain, cultural differences, because he seems to be, he's Japanese, so and he seems to be happy to talk about Japanese culture, and I'm sure that there's lots of things that that you viewers keep asking me that he could probably give quite interesting insights to some of these questions. So that could be one idea. We'll see. If you're a big video game or anime fan, well, I'm not anime fan, but a bit of video games I'm interested in. But for that, I'd rather go to Akihabara. Did you study photography at university? No, I'm entirely self-taught when it comes to photography. Can you tell us what's this steel cabinet on the side of the sidewalk? I don't know what you mean. Maybe it's like just this box for like electricity and wiring, isn't it? So here's Ebisu station actually. So let's cross here and walk around Ebisu a little bit. Ikebukuro is a city of art. Yeah, there's the Metropolitan Theater, I guess, and maybe some others. Some of my Japanese friends told me that Ikebukuro is like Shibuya but for Saitama people, which is kind of mean. Like Saitama has kind of poor reputation among some people. Like people from the south or from Kanagawa, they usually kind of tend to look down on Saitama as being a little bit of a unsophisticated area. So yeah, saying that it's like Shibuya but for Saitama people is actually quite insulting. Although personally I kind of like Saitama. Like there's lots of nice greenery and beautiful areas in the outskirts of Saitama. So that's Shibuya over there. You can see the Cerulean Tower pointing up at the end of the street. So also Shibuya to Ebisu is not very far. I used to live in Ikebukuro. I liked it. Yeah, I think I would like living there too, actually. I mean, it's not an area I go very often because I don't have the reason to, but it seems that the crowd there is actually quite vibrant and interesting. It's a little bit rougher maybe than Shibuya, but yeah, still, I think it's a nice, like, it has everything. So if I would live near Ikebukuro, I'm sure I would go there much more often. But I've always lived in like the more like the opposite side of the city. So Ikebukuro has always felt quite far for me. Yeah, 12 years in Japan. So here's the そうですね、赤羽に行きたいね。赤羽もちょっとうちから遠いけどいつか絶対行きたいと思います。夜の散歩、赤羽でとっても楽しいと思います。Did you go to areas further west like Kichijoji often? Not further than Kichijoji, but Kichijoji occasionally, but also like, well, I used to live in Nakano and then it was kind of easy because it was on the Chuo line. But these days, like going to Kichijoji is like, I think it takes over an hour from my place. So it feels really far. But I was there like, a month ago, I think, and shot some walking videos. Hello, Shuba Tirumare. Are the businesses open? Yes. Here, most shops are open. Some have like slightly shortened operating hours, but basically everything is open like it used to be. Yep, vintage camera shop. Oh, I forgot to mention that, but it's a mediocre vintage camera shop, to be honest. Yeah, Nakano is nice. I liked it. It's probably my favorite place that I've lived in Tokyo so far. there's a lot of things to see and do, and there's also a lot of very good access to city center. So I think I will turn around here, because if I keep on walking I will just end up back in Naka-Meguro, where I started this walk. So I'll just take some back streets and head back, and then start walking towards Shibuya. Thank you, Shubati Romare. Grab some coffee. I might. Thank you. I'm still waiting for a Nakano live stream. Yeah, again, like Nakano now, since I don't live there anymore, it feels a little bit far, but it's definitely an area I should do a live stream from. I agree. And so it's like Koenji and Asagaya and all those neighborhoods on the Chuo line. Ever lived in Kanagawa? I have. Actually, the second place I lived in Japan was in Kanagawa, in an area called Ichigao. Belongs to Yokohama City, but it's kind of far from Yokohama. Yeah, Koenji is awesome. Koenji is also an area I would love to live someday. Does Asagaya still have a good live music scene? I'm not sure. I'm not really connected to that world anymore, but I think so. I would be surprised if it has changed, but I think Koenji is more of like a vibrant night or music scene, or maybe both. I don't know. Is it possible for a foreigner to buy a house or condo? Yes. If you have the cash, there's no restrictions on buying, but you won't be able to live in it unless you also get a visa somehow. But just buying a place is possible. There's no restrictions on like foreigners and ownership of houses or condos, as far as I know. Haigusha no hito wa Nihonjin desu. It's a Chiyoda live stream on the cards? Yeah, maybe. We're around the diet, new Otani. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that as well. そうですね、面白い。そう？なぜ面白いと思いますか？ How good is Shake Shack in Japan? I've only been to Shake Shack in Japan, so I can't really compare it to anything else, but it's okay. Decent hamburgers, very, very greasy. If you get permanent residency and buy a condo and then move overseas, how often do I need to stay in Japan? I don't know. Those kind of rules and limitations I don't really know off the top of my head, but should be able. What state are you from? I'm from Skåne, in the glorious country of Sweden. Again, there you can see Shibuya in the distance. And over here is a pretty nice place called Ebisu which is this kind of indoor food court with lots of interesting restaurants. Let's see if we can. Oh wait, no, sorry, I think I lied. I think we're one. No, it should be here. Or is it next block? Maybe next block. See, I really don't come to Ebisu very often, so. I feel like I'm like just this lousy guide who don't really know what I'm showing you. I don't know the exact location, and I don't have the answers to half of the questions you're asking. But shoganai, that's it. I mean, I don't really do a lot of research before these walks, and the things I know is what I know off the top of my head. Yeah, so here's the Ebisu Yokocho anyway. Let's see if it's open. I might just go really quickly, give you a little tour around. That's okay, thank you. I'd rather think of these walks as, you know, I'm just taking a bunch of friends around Tokyo for the first time. That's kind of the feeling that I hope to recreate. Not being a like perfect tour guide or anything, but just a casual walk around. So here's Ebisu Yokocho. I do kind of like this place. I've been a few times, but it is not open, so let's not go in there. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Your walks are awesome. Thank you. Like an ambassador. Thank you. Yeah, that was the sound of a helicopter. So if I keep walking this way, I will end up in Roppongi and Minami Aoyama. Shibuya is to the left, so I think there's a river down here. I'll see if there's a way for me to follow that river to Shibuya. Yeah, I don't think anyone is upset either, but sometimes I just feel a little bit awkward, like when there's like five questions in a row and I'm like clueless about all of them. But yeah, that's it. I think it's okay. A lot of people are watching, and more of you are coming every time, so I must be doing something right. Okay, so map. Let's check this map. We are here. So Shibuya should be down this way, and if I follow it this way, it looks like I'll get towards Hiro. Here's Ebisu Station, and then further down this road is Naka-Meguro, where I started the walk. So yeah, we already covered quite a bit of ground. So the river is here, but I don't think I can walk next to the river. Or maybe I can. Let's see. No, probably not. Probably not. But this little very, very sad river goes all the way towards Shibuya. So I will try to follow it or walk on the back streets. What's the name of the school you went to out there? You mean the language school? The only school I've been going to in Japan was a language school called Kai. located in Shin-Okubo, but that was 10 years ago. No beer today. No beer before lunch. Yeah, the language school is called Kai. Kai. It was good. I'm not sure how they are these days, but I really enjoyed it and felt that I learned a lot when I went there. No, beer o'clock is always sometime in the afternoon. Beer o'clock can never be before lunch. Would you recommend the language school ISI? I don't know anything about other schools. I don't really know anyone studying Japanese right now, so I'm not really up to date with which schools are good and which aren't. So sorry, I don't think I'm able to give you any advice on that. But if there's something I would recommend, is to try to find a school that has a lot of European or Western students, because if there's mostly like Chinese and Korean students, then the pace and the way of teaching tends to be quite different, especially since most Koreans also know quite a lot of kanji, so they tend to rush through the kanji part, which is something that can be problematic for Westerners who are completely unfamiliar with kanji. So that's the advice that I got before I studied Japanese, and I think that still applies. Oh, thank you. You have full screen video, and it feels like you're walking with me. Happy to hear that. Now I think I'm walking alongside Meiji-dori, kana? Is this Meiji-dori? Might be. When it comes to internet, wireless, telecom and IT solution, the US is pretty far ahead. Japanese offices still use fax, which is kind of weird. Yeah, well, I think Japan is probably on the same level or even ahead of US when it comes to things like broadband penetration, for example. Here, like, everybody has access, basically everybody has access to super fast optical fiber internet. And also like mobile networks and everything is pretty well developed. The reason that they're using fax so much is not because they don't have access to more modern means of communication. It's more like just old habit, and the change in the corporate world of Japan takes really long time. So yeah, I'm not sure if I would agree. And also, like, when I read up about cell phone plans and internet speeds in the US, it seems to be quite far behind, actually. In those regards, I think my home country on Sweden is like really well ahead. Like, mobile data plans are super cheap. We have like 10 gigabits optical fiber connections for like residential use is available now, although range is the It's just to some very limited areas so far, but yeah. In the US it seems like, yeah, the cities are well connected, but anywhere like outside of major cities it seems to be quite flaky. But here in Japan also, like mobile phone coverage is generally very good, even when you travel to like remote parts of the country. And yeah, this hanko, the stamp culture, is also really antiquated and something they should abolish as soon as possible, I think. But again, that's just because it's tradition, and changing those things takes time, and since most people in senior position in the corporate world are elderly, they tend to be very they don't want those kind of traditional Japanese things to change very easily. They're super traditional and conservative. Ohayo gozaimasu. Stamping is indeed weird.そうですね。時々周りの人はちょっとね、僕にちょっと見てます。でもまあ東京ではよくこういう人がいるから、観光客がよくライブストリーミングとかセルフィーとか動画を撮りますので、そんなに目立つではないと思います。もしかして田舎の方に行ったらもっともっと珍しいと思います。Yeah, I think South Korea used to be also top, like of these connected and broadband penetration is very high in South Korea and very fast as well. 日本語上手ですね。ありがとうございます。Do you drink coffee? I do drink coffee. My favorite coffee shop is called Let It Be Coffee, and it's located in Futako Tamagawa. Someone at work asked me to fax something, and I honestly didn't remember how to fax. I don't think I've ever faxed, even though I live in Japan, but I never had a normal job here, so I never had the need to fax. It happened a couple of times that people asked me to fax things, but then I just asked like, oh, can I just scan it and email to you? And that's usually fine. Is Siphon brewing coffee still popular in Japanese coffee shops? Yes, in those older Japanese coffee shops called Kissaten, which is like the Japanese style but Western inspired coffee shops. It's very common. But in the last 10 years there's been also an explosion in this kind of espresso based coffee culture. So there's a lot of those shops as well. What was the biggest tech hurdle you faced starting these live streams? To find a generous data plan that was fast and reliable. I struggled a bit with that. I used to have this NTT Docomo mobile phone plan, but it was actually not sold directly by them, so it was more of this low-cost plan. So I think the traffic was kind of down-prioritized. So it was a bit flaky, but now I have this pretty decent Wi-Fi router and with 100 gigs per month, so that's decent. It works well now, I think. But I do look forward to when 5G coverage is more widespread. That should give a boost in quality, I think, once the services are getting kind of up to speed with this new 5G technology. Have you ever missed the last train and spent the night in a manga kissa? I have. Yes, I have. But I think when I miss the last train, it's usually been like, it hasn't happened in the last 5-7 years. But when I was younger and used to drink a lot, it happened quite often. And then usually me and my friend used to go to just like, we had a bar that we often went to in Shibuya, and they were always open until the first train started running again. So we either went there, or if we were drunk enough, we maybe went for karaoke. Manga kissa feels very sad for me. I don't really like spending the night there. Thai coffee right in Sangenjaya. Okay, I will. Never been there. I'll check it out. Apart from Starbucks, what are other popular coffee places there? There's a few Japanese chains. There's one called Dotor and one called Excelsior Coffee. Those are quite popular. But they're more like, I would say, more like business people go there. Not so much like young, cool, hipster people. Tully's is quite popular. Blue Bottle have a few shops that are doing really well, it seems. What else? I'm sure I'm forgetting several chains, but yeah. It's very sad that a lot of people live in those manga kissa permanently. It's such a, miserable life. But people don't know this, but actually poverty is quite widespread in Japan. So a lot of people are, I think it's estimated that 1 out of 6 Japanese people live in relative poverty, which is a pretty high figure. This idea that Japan is like such a good country where everybody is enjoying a high standard of living is not really true. And also, like, the cheap housing here in Japan is extremely poor quality. I mean, I lived in some places which were just downright depressing. But when I was new to Japan, or I had a few years when I didn't really have much work and I was really struggling to get by, so I was living in these like shared accommodations that were not very not very pleasant to live in. Like, no insulation, super cold in the winter, super hot in the summer, paper thin walls. I could hear my neighbor fart. So yeah, those kind of living situations are very common here. So it is kind of sad. Daikanyama に行くのですか？もうDaikanyamaもう行きました。これから渋谷ともしかして原宿まで行くつもりです。Yeah, I could really hear my neighbor fart. I could hear him fart, and then he also had this thing that every once in a while he said in a very loud and clear voice, "Gambatte." That was like the two things I heard from him. I think he was a little bit weird. Maybe, yeah, some sort of weirdo with digestive problems. Yeah, it's so weird, this gambatte. now we are very close to Shibuya. So the building here is Shibuya Stream, which is relatively new. I mentioned this so many times in previous streams, but I never really approached it from this direction, so maybe you don't recognize it. But I think Google has their new main office or some sort of big office in this building. And then behind it you see the Shibuya Scramble Square building, which is a pretty odd name for a building, but yeah, that's what it's called, with this famous new lookout point on the top floor. Is it just the older population facing poverty, or even the younger one? Yeah, even the younger one, I would say. A lot of young Japanese are struggling. It's very difficult. I mean, the economic situation of this country is it's getting worse and worse, and those who already have a job and who are, you know, into part of the regular workforce, they're doing fine. But anyone who's young, and especially if you don't have like really impressive credentials, you didn't go to a famous university, etc., then it's difficult to find a job. It's difficult to find a stable, well-paying job with career opportunities. There's lots of like cheap part-time jobs and like simple like contract employments. That's quite easy to find. But yeah, like lifetime career is very, very difficult, and especially for women. So yeah, those are also factors why I don't want my daughter to grow up here, because I think by the time she's old enough to enter the workforce, then I think the situation is just going to be even worse. Does the government help the young graduates if they're unable to find jobs? I really don't know. I mean, there are various kinds of government support that you can get if you are unemployed. But because there is a surplus of these like low-paying temporary jobs, most people find a job, but they kind of get stuck in this vicious cycle of, having low income and unsecure contracts. So, and as they get older and older, it just gets more and more difficult to enter the workforce. So, yeah. Where in Japan does your wife come from? She's from Tokyo. What country is best? I don't know. Lots of things are great about Japan. That's why I live here, and that's why I've been here for 12 years. I really enjoy life here in so many ways. But it's also a country where I don't feel that the future prospects are particularly good. So, Shibuya Station. Which part of Tokyo? She's from Setagaya. Does that apply to the whole country? I think anywhere outside the major cities, the situation is even worse. Most parts of Japan are suffering really hard from depopulation, and I think last year alone the population of Japan decreased with 400,000 people, which is like insane. That's like more than the size of my hometown, and that's just in 1 year the population decreased that much. And since we have a financial system that is basically based on constant growth or collapse, then there's a lot of issues. Yes, Scramble Square does relate to the famous pedestrian crossing, but then that's why I think it's weird that why do you call a skyscraper Scramble Square? To me, Scramble Square is the square with the scramble crossing, not a building next to it. We want to move to Japan, but it's still a good place to live. And if you're coming, if you already have decent education and you have a bit of experience and you can get a good job here, then sure, by all means do it. Or if you're like very young and just plan to live here for a couple of years learning the language again. And also, like, if you do, you know, move here, learn the language, and want to find a job here, you have lots of opportunities. So it's not bad in that sense. Like on an individual level, especially as a foreigner who goes through the hassle of learning the language, it's it's not bad at all. I'm sorry if I sounded a little bit too negative, but you know, there's one thing, like on the, you know, macro level of the entire country and population, I think it looks very, very bleak. But for ambitious people, I think there's still a lot of opportunities here, and that will probably just increase as it gets more and more difficult to find the right kind of people amongst the local population due to the population decline. So yeah. そうですね、渋谷はだいぶ変わりましたね。たくさん新しい建物がいよいよできました。まだ工事してるけど、ほとんど終わりと思います。なんかオリンピックまですごい頑張ったから。What age did you start learning Japanese? Basically, I studied Japanese from age 26 to 27? No, 27 to 28. So quite late. I'm old. If you're younger than that, then by all means start as soon as possible, because it's just going to get more and more difficult as you get older. I am not going up Scramble Square now, sorry. Such beautiful people and no one dates. I don't really buy that. I mean, there's all these stories about how Japanese people don't have sex and that they don't, get married and whatnot. And yes, they don't get married, but they certainly do date and sleep with each other. But because it's kind of difficult to have a stable and secure situation here, then that makes more and more people reluctant to get married and raise kids. At least that's my impression of the situation. So now I'm back at the Shibuya crossing. I guess since I'm here, I kind of have to pass the crossing, right? Yeah, I think Western media gets this whole thing wrong. Like, the birth rate is very, very low in Japan, but that's not because people don't date or because people don't sleep with each other. It's just because the society is putting too much pressure on you, and it's too difficult to make a comfortable and secure living. And I think that's the reason why so many people are reluctant to build a family. So here you can see this Shibuya Scramble Square building again. The sky looks kind of mean today. Is bullying and discrimination common if you're not Japanese? I think so. Yeah. Not sure if it's that much worse here than in other countries, but there's a lot of horror stories, and in general, I think the society is not doing that much to kind of raise awareness about multicultural backgrounds and that people can, you know, have a different skin color or different hair color and still be Japanese. So someone asked if I have a car. I do not have a car and I do not want a car. Yeah, Naomi Osaka is a very good example. I really admire her. She's super important for the future development of Japan. This is not busy. This is definitely not busy by Shibuya standards. You can definitely see that there's a pandemic going on. I just do a very quick walk around this crossing and then I will keep on walking towards Harajuku. I'll just do a quick and dirty 2-in-1 crossing. $600 watching. Wow, not bad. Not bad at all. I don't think we will break the record on the super chat like we did yesterday though, even though we have more viewers today. Hint, hint. Yeah, I will cross over here and head over to Miyashita Koen as well. Why not? Why not knock down all the famous landmark spots in Shibuya in this walk? What was the record? I don't have the exact number to be honest, but people were extremely generous yesterday. I think I probably passed $100 in super chat for the first time, which was very nice. Thank you, Michael. 行き屋がある。そうですね。ありますね。じゃあここの IKEA はまだ開いてないと思いますけど、原宿の方もさっき IKEA がある。ここの IKEA はあそこですね。昔の Forever 21の建物。でも多分12月から始まります。あともう一つ IKEA があるんですけど、渋谷で。でもそれはなんかビジネス向けの IKEA、 ちょっと普通の IKEA と違いますね。あ、Unicorn Joe, wow, thank you. That's too much, really. Thank you, but that's just too much. And Warren Kang, wow, okay. Thank you so much. Warren, Joel, and or Unicorn Joe and Michael X. Really appreciate it. Shibuya crossing over there. Do you have permanent residency? I do not. Crowded for Monday? Not really, not compared to what this area is usually like. What's your job? I'm a photographer and journalist, self-employed. Been doing that since I came to Japan 12 years ago. Thank you, Fungus. Wow. 0 o'clock natto flavored kimchi for lunch. Oh, thank you, thank you. Sorry, but sometimes I just feel that some of my viewers need to get a little bit better manners. You just don't ask your job. That's very rude and impolite. So please try to be a little bit more nicer in the future, okay? Do you want me to head up on the Miyashita Park again? Even though I've been there several times in my streams already? Should I go up there or should I just keep on walking towards Harajuku? Yes. No, it's okay. Yes, it's a nice spot. There's nothing there. Go to Harajuku. Yes, please. Cat Street is okay. Okay, I'll skip it today then. It's nice up there, but it's more impressive at night. Is Nombe Yokocho still around? Yes, it is still around. Maybe I forgot to shoot it, but yes, it is still around. So this is all new. So now they opened this Shibuya Yokocho, it's called. So it's kind of like a sister shop to the Ebisu Yokocho that I passed before, I think, because the sign looks very similar. And there's the Ebisu kanji, or su, I think that's kanjis. So same as in the Ebisu Yokocho. #1 global, thank you as well. Wow, maybe we are breaking the record today. It says Shibuya Yokocho, yes, but there was also the kanji for, see that the first kanji to the left, that's su, I think, and that's part of the kanji for Ebisu, or yeah, one of the kanjis in Ebisu. Have you been in the city for any large earthquakes? Yeah, I mean, I was here when the big 2011 earthquake struck. And that was really scary, even though Tokyo was not really damaged much by that earthquake, but it did indeed shake a lot, and I thought that I was going to die. So it was super scary. This bridge has a really nice night view. Good to see that Spotify is doing some commercials. For those of you who don't know, Spotify is a Swedish company, so, and I've been using them since the early beta days. I think more than 10 years now. Yeah, well more than 10 years. Was that the tsunami one too? Yes, that was the 2011 one. The one that triggered the tsunami and the Fukushima meltdown. Oh, I didn't know they were Swedish. Yep, they are indeed. Just like Skype, And King, the game company that makes Candy Crush, it's also a pretty well-known Swedish company. And of course IKEA and H&M, Volvo, Saab. What else? Yeah, we're a small country, but we do quite well when it comes to building like global brands and new kind of business models. I think we're surprisingly good. Actually, Sweden is a very good at game development. So DICE or digital what's it called? Digital Illusions. Also a Swedish company. You know, the company that makes Battlefield. Paradox Interactive, pretty big game company. Also Swedish. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Did Sweden diversify the music portfolio to include more non-American music? I don't know. I think it's like it's up to each country because they have to negotiate those licensing deals in every country. So it actually took them really long to launch here in Japan because the record industry here is very, very closely knit and controlled by a few powerful companies. So yeah. How do you pronounce IKEA? IKEA is how we pronounce it in Swedish, which is very similar to the Japanese way of pronouncing too. But whenever I hear Americans pronouncing IKEA, I just, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Although, I mean, I get it. Like, names are pronounced in the local dialect, so no wonder there. Yeah, IKEA, or when they pronounce Nikon or Nikon, camera company, that also just sounds so wrong to me. Ah, silkworm larvae. I had that when I first went to Korea the first time. I kind of thought it was quite nice. It tasted a bit like eating sweetened dirt, which was not as bad as it sounds. So, can I just sit down for a minute? Been walking constantly for 1.5 hours now. Let's grab a seat somewhere in this sad little playground. If Japanese people can't read kanji, they can't live. そうですね。漢字は日本ですごく大事。でも残念ながら英語はまあほとんど話せませんので、それは残念と思います。Go to Freshness Burger. It's okay. Thanks for keeping me sane with your live Japan walk streaming. Thank you. Good to hear that you enjoy my streams. Have you ever been to India? No, I have not, but I would like to. Seems like an interesting place. I would love to travel there sometime. Miss Freshness Burger. Freshness Burger is nice. It's my favorite of the Japanese burger chains. Did you return to Sweden shortly after the earthquake? I did not. No, I stayed here. I stayed here and did a lot of reporting. It kind of kick-started my Japan correspondent career, I guess you can say. And I felt that it was very important for me to stay because most people left, and I felt that the media reporting in the aftermath of the tsunami and the Fukushima situation was very, very weird and not really accurate. So I felt that I actually had some important work to do by staying here and tell people what it was like. Besides Japan, what is your favorite country to go to? I think my favorite country is Italy. There's a small town there where I spent most of my summers as a kid, and I usually try to go there whenever I have a chance these days as well. And I just really love it around there. So that's a very lovely country that I enjoy a lot, but I also really enjoy traveling to neighboring countries around here, like Korea is always amazing, Taiwan is fun, Hong Kong. Right now it's very sad what's happening there, but I used to like it when I went there. And Singapore I went for the first time last year, and that was really a lot of fun as well. And I still have lots of exploration left to do in Asia. I haven't really been to that many countries in Asia, so I've never been. Well, I did go to Bangkok last winter, so that was my first time in Thailand, but I would definitely want to see more of Thailand. I want to go to Vietnam, I want to go to Cambodia, like this, just so many places I want to go. Taiwan is super nice. I've been. Are you ever going to go back with your family? Yes, I think so. I think we will move to Scandinavia within 2 to 3 years, mostly because of our daughter. We both agree that Tokyo is not the best place to raise a child. How many restaurants do you find with non-Japanese food? Oh, there's like everything. Tokyo has so many restaurants. No matter what you're looking for, you'll likely be able to find it here. そうですね、香港はね、かわいそう、香港。With you saying Japan is a bit of a decline, do you think there's other countries that has a better future outlook than Japan? I think so. I think the future outlook in my part of the world, or like Scandinavia, I think is in the long term is probably looks more positive to me than here. But then again, I mean, Japan is a very conservative country, but when change starts to happen, it tends to change very fast. So I'm guessing that sooner or later the situation here will be so unsustainable, so that they just have to kind of reform the country and allow for more immigration and whatnot. And then I think things can change very fast. And who knows? Maybe at that time. It can actually become really, really good in many ways, and they might be able to solve all these issues. But right now I see zero political will to kind of reform the country in any meaningful way that is actually long-term sustainable. So yes, this is Cat Street. Who's the new prime minister? Well, it's not official yet, but it's probably gonna be Suga, who used to be the cabinet secretary. Our Japanese super polite. I don't know. I would say Japanese are very good at following rules, and the rules dictate how you are supposed to behave in most social interactions. Polite, yeah, I guess so. They're more polite than most countries, I guess, but unfortunately it also feels sometimes a little bit kind of robotic, like they have this manual on how to behave and people behave exactly that way. But if you, for example, if you're going to a restaurant and you ask for something that's not on the menu, then they kind of get super confused and are unable to accommodate your request in many cases. So for me, being polite means that you can also kind of see the needs of a individual person and kind of accommodate to those needs, but that's not something that we see often here. They have a good sense of humor. Are you talking about Japanese people in general? Depends. It's really individual. I think some people do, some people don't. But the kind of common Japanese comedy, you have all these like comedy groups and comedy duos here in Japan, and I find those pretty boring, but it's, I mean, yeah, I think my sense of humor is kind of weird as well. It's not like average, so I don't know. It's very subjective if it's good or not. Do you speak Japanese? Yes, I do speak Japanese. Yeah, humor is very different in Japan. How old are you? I am 38 years old. What's funny for me? Well, with my age, I think my sense of humor is probably quite different from that of most of my viewers, but I'm a big fan of like British humor. I love Monty Python. The Office British edition is brilliant. American one is not so brilliant, but yeah, the British one is really good. And in general, I kind of like also kind of political satire. I do watch all these American late night talk shows, like you know, what's it called? Noah. Complete brain short circuit right now, but yeah, Stephen Colbert and what's his name? Oliver. I always mix him up with the chef, the name. James Oliver, John Oliver. Yeah, John Oliver. That's Trevor Noah. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff, and there's like nothing of that in Japan. There's no like just making jokes about the politics and politicians is completely off the chart here. So and that's something I find very sad, and I think it's very important to be able to make jokes and criticize those in power. That's kind of a sign of a healthy democracy, which unfortunately I don't Let's see here. Yeah, John Oliver. Yeah, I mean he's brilliant. That's exactly my type of humor. He's like talking about serious stuff. He's making important points. He's actually able to create some change, and he's hilariously funny while he's at it. This is random, but I wonder what kind of language you use when talking to yourself. Good question. I think it's kind of similar to how I speak, so it's actually a mix of Swedish, Japanese and English. Maybe a bit more Swedish than in the way I speak, but I do think sometimes in Japanese, sometimes in English as well. Like some words are just more natural to me in Japanese. Sometimes I don't even know the word in English, or there is no great word or like equal nuanced word. So yeah. Who's this? Jane Smith. Just called the guy Vlad. That's quite insulting. Like, I want people to be nice in the chat, so you will get blocked. If you don't like my channel, just watch something else. You watch The Walking Dead? No, I don't really watch any television series. The last one I watched was like several years ago. That was House of Cards, which I thought was brilliant though. But yeah. Cheetan, yes. So good. So good. Hey, from Niigata. Hello, Niigata. Nice area. Whereabouts in Niigata? Niigata City. Which version of House of Cards? Oh, the US one, the one with Kevin Spacey. Haven't watched the UK one. I tried, but it felt a little bit too old, and I didn't really get into it. I didn't give it a fair chance though. I don't watch TV anymore. It's all YouTube Japan walks. Really? Thank you. Ah, near the beach. Nice. Nice, nice. Have you been to Miyajima? Yes, I have. Beautiful place. Hope to go again sometime. Maybe stream from there would be nice. I really enjoy climbing the mountain there. They have a really nice kind of ropeway or cable car up the mountain, and from up there you have a beautiful view of the Seto Inland Sea. But of course the shrine area is very nice too. So I think from here I'll just head down Takeshita Dori and wrap up the stream at Harajuku station. Yeah, 600 viewers. It's really impressive. Happy that so many of you are staying with me today. What time do you live stream? It's really different every day. I try to kind of do a mix of morning streams so that my US viewers can watch, but also evenings so that my European viewers can follow it. But it really depends on my, the rest of my schedule. This is, just a little hobby of mine, these streams. So basically, there's other things in my life that are dictating when I can find those extra hours to spare and go on a long walk. Not owning a car, is it convenient in Tokyo? Yeah, I think this country has the best public transportation in the world probably, and owning a car just seems like a massive hassle, and it would cost a fortune. So I see zero point in owning a car. But that's kind of my impression of owning a car in most major cities. I think owning a car is mostly a status thing, like if you're living in a big city, which I don't know. I can think of so many better ways to spend that money. Of course, if you live in the countryside, it's very different. Or if you live somewhere with like poor public transportation, but yeah. Do you ever use a motor scooter? No, I don't have a license to drive those either. What do you do after this stream? I will go home, get some lunch for me and my wife. Then I have a little bit of desk work to do for some upcoming projects, a bit of planning and emailing, and my wife will be out most of this afternoon, so I will have to also take care of our little daughter. Isn't it hard carrying groceries without a car? No, we buy groceries, like most neighborhoods in Japan has a local supermarket, so we have a supermarket just 5 minutes away from our house, just next to the station. So usually I go there, and then there's a kind of discount supermarket that I can bike to in like 10 minutes, or it's a 20-minute walk. So whenever we need to stock up, I just go there. No problem at all. Are masks mandatory there? No, it's completely voluntarily, but people here are smart and have respect for each other, so most people wear them. And this is Meiji-dori towards Shibuya. That's where I came from.
Okay, everybody, pick them up and take them along. They're fun to eat. Choritos, the last donut snack.
How long have you taken to learn speaking Japanese? Do you know Chinese? No, I don't know Chinese. I went to school for a year, and then I've been studying on my own for many years, and I've been living here and like immersing myself in Japanese as well. Ever thought of getting sponsorship, shoe sponsorship for these walks? Well, let's see if there's ever any such opportunity coming up, and I'll consider it. Yeah, you see a lot of signs in written with the Western alphabet or Romaji, and yeah, Japanese people can read it. When it's English words, they cannot necessarily always pronounce it, but reading it, yes, they do know how to do that. Is your daughter bilingual? Well, she's 1 month old, so she doesn't say much right now, but I will make sure that she becomes at least trilingual. Swedish, English, Japanese at the minimum. Super quiet around here. This street used to be so crowded all the time, but yeah, not now. Being a dad is cool. It indeed is cool. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy every second of it. No, that was a lie. I don't enjoy every second of it. Like sometimes when she's like crying hysterically in the middle of the night and nothing seems to calm her down, it's a little bit, it feels very tough. But other than that, yeah, it is indeed very, very enjoyable. Changing the nappies, that's fine. You get used to it really quickly. I don't mind that at all. Lots of small shops here. I don't know, commuting by car seems really stressful and exhausting. I don't think I would ever want to do that. I prefer train, because at least when you ride a train, then you can, you know, you can read things, you can even be productive if it's not too crowded train. But yeah, car just seems so stressful with like traffic jams and all these like people who can't control their emotions and become really nasty when they drive. Yeah. Definitely, I can't see how driving would be improving my quality of life. That's the key. Sounds like she's trilingual. Yep. Takeshita Dori. And here's Harajuku Station, an old entrance, which is still in use. But then up here we have the new one. When do you foresee bringing your daughter back to... I think we will move in like within 3 years, probably 2 or 3 years. That's the goal, but problem is kind of the work situation for me and my wife. That's the challenge that we're kind of trying to figure out. Will your wife miss Japan? Probably. I will miss Japan a lot too, for sure. Every time I go back to Europe, it just takes me like a few days and I start missing things about Japan. There's a lot of things here that are so great, but at the same time I also miss a lot of things in Europe when I'm here, so it kind of goes both ways. So here's this new building with the Uniqlo and IKEA. And I do think they have a nice terrace up here. Let's check it out before wrapping up. When you go back to Sweden, I think you have to drive a car, right? I've been living in Sweden for most of my life, and me or my family, we never owned a car, so as long as you're in the city it's not really necessary, but it depends. If we live more like outside the city or in the countryside, then yeah, maybe it will be necessary. So here's the IKEA. I need to check it out. I haven't been yet. Only once, very briefly, on the bottom floor to buy a cinnamon bun for my wife. I will have lunch at home today. So this is the place I wanted to check out. Have not been here. Nice little rooftop terrace here. It's Shinjuku over there with the NTT Docomo building, which I learned from S that it's not the Docomo head office that I used to be saying, but it's just one of their offices. But yeah, very nice view from up here. Tokyo always looks so different once you get it like from a higher vantage point. How many kilometers have you walked during the live streams? Let's check. Today I walked 12,000 steps, which is kind of average on a stream like this. I do have also kilometer counter, but that's in my phone, and since I'm using that to stream right now, I can't open it. Is that a pool near you? I don't think there's a pool here, no. You mean this? This is just glass. Let's go down here and see what it's like. It's very quiet today, yeah. Yeah, this must be super nice at work at night. We'll definitely come back here again. And it's nice, you can just get some snacks at IKEA and just sit here on the stairs and eat. Very nice. Have you ever been to Kuala Lumpur? I have not. Yes, I know that it's usually called KL, but no, I've never been. Would love to go. Actually, one of my favorite photographers, someone asked about my favorite photographers, and I forgot to answer that question. So one of my favorite photographers, he's Malaysian and lives in Kuala Lumpur. His name is Ming Tien. He used to have a really good photography blog, but he just stopped updating it after I think 8 years, which feels very sad. But I've been following him for ages, and I really love his work, and I really love his kind of philosophical take on photography that he writes a lot about. Ming Tian, the Fuji user. I think Ming is more of a he used to work for Hasselblad, and he's also been sponsored by Leica, but I think most of his work cameras are Nikon. Yeah, I think I will. Let's see, how do I get down? Oh, here we go. So I think I will head to the station and finish today's stream. Oh, it's already been 2 hours, yes. Okay, time to wrap this up and head back home for lunch. So here's the new Harajuku station, and here's the old one to the right. And I mistakenly said that this was going to be torn down, which is not the case. It's actually going to be turned into a museum, so that's great that they keep this beautiful old building. The new one looks very anonymous and boring to me, but I'm sure that it's way more effective and can accommodate many more passengers, so that's not uncommon here. So let's just hit a slightly more quiet spot here. And yes, so thanks a lot for watching today, and I will see you again tomorrow, I hope. Not sure when I might stream tomorrow, if it will be morning or afternoon, but as soon as I know, I will let you know. And for those of you who are new to my channel, if you like this and if you want to connect a little bit more with me, consider joining my Patreon. The link is in the video description. You can also follow me on Instagram.